For the month of June, let us see how Africa has performed in terms of securing a sustainable natural environment for her people. In Jamestown, Ghana, a foreign mechanized factory may destroy the fabric and traditional way of life of this fishing community, with its intimate connection to the sea. Coal-fired pollution in South Africa is linked to thousands of deaths and tens of thousands of chronic illnesses, costing the economy in excess of 30 billion rand per annum. Finally, after 12 years since lethal levels of air pollution caused by Sasol and Eskom plants, decision-makers are now being called to account. In order to become future fit, it has now become necessary to divest our investments for education, pensions, and other commendable causes, should it fund ventures that harm the environment, such as coal, gas and oil, and instead invest in climate-friendly alternatives. Its Minister of Energy has fired the entire Zimbabwe Electricity Supply Authority Board, citing new board members consisting of men and women of integrity and experience. Before them lies a daunting challenge, to move away from uncertain hydroelectricity and earth-warming coal power, to renewable options. At a tax rate of 6 to 46 rand per ton of carbon dioxide emissions, which is low by international standards, South Africa Treasury is allowing significant emitters of greenhouse gases, 4 years, to transition their operations to cleaner technologies. It is suggested that this tax should be utilized to alleviate the burden on the poor, as they would be impacted most by climate change. In line with the Montreal Protocol, Rwanda is investing in fridges that do not release greenhouse gases or deplete the ozone layer, and in this way accelerate their transformation to an environmentally friendly culture. On World Environmental Day, the 5th of June, Botswana's Minister of Environment has encouraged citizens to recycle waste instead of burning it, as this could cause respiratory diseases. In order to study and save the endangered golden monkeys living in the Virunga Mountains, stretching over Rwanda, Uganda and the DRC, a new face recognition app is being developed. In a study to determine the top 50 African safari parks, the Serengeti National Park from Tanzania, with its sheer numbers and variety of wildlife, came first. Second, the pristine wilderness of Mana Pools National Park, Zimbabwe. And third, was the privately owned South Africa Malamala Game Reserve. Illicit pangolin trafficking in Nigeria, destined for Asia as traditional medicines and fashion accessories, is earning locals a fortune. This despite the fact that pangolins have been categorized as an endangered species since 1973. Urgent action is required. Although denied by authorities from the Republic of Congo, raw footage from the Environmental Investigation Agency unveils huge-scale bribery, over-harvesting and tax evasion by Chinese conglomerates who has for years committed crimes against the forest and the people of Gabon. The number of people on the continent is expected to double by 2050. This unprecedented rise in population will threaten the natural balance that ensures plant and animal species to live in harmony. People who depend directly on natural food, water, and medicine will be most at risk. Strong action is required to address the destruction of habitats, land degradation, overharvesting, poaching, the illegal wildlife trade, and pollution. As climate change will impact heavily on the habitats of iconic species that are specifically adapted to unique ecosystems, scientists are trying to source new homes as well as corridors leading to these new homes. Because rat poisons are designed to work slowly in target species, these species become easy prey for animals higher up in the food chain. As rat poisons continue to spread and accumulate, it is causing intoxication of the entire Table Mountain National Park ecosystem. Consumers need a more eco-friendly approach to deal with rats in particular. Community members from the Princess Vlei Forum are replanting indigenous fynbos in an area that has suffered severe degradation as a result of years of exploitation and urban encroachment. The lesser flamingo is listed as nearly threatened on the International Union for Conservation's Red List. Outside Kimberley in South Africa, the chicks of one of only 3 breeding colonies in Africa were abandoned by their parents because of low water levels. They were flown across the country to be cared for. Until date, over 700 has been released in the wild again. In Uganda, the Queen Elizabeth National Park is considered the richest part of the African continent in terms of vertebrate species. But increased temperatures is encouraging the invasive and hardy, sickle bush shrub, to spread like wildfire, threatening the existence of vital grasslands. Park authorities say urgent intervention is required. For the second time in 2 years has southern Africa been hit by the El Niño weather phenomenon, resulting in a 50% lower rainfall than average. This has caused severe drought. By UN estimates, 45 million people across 14 countries will be exposed to food shortages this year. It is imperative for African governments to put in place risk reduction measures by promoting drought-tolerant crop varieties, irrigation systems, and cash transfers to cushion the impact on farmers. In Kenya, 11 boreholes and a plan to use cards fitted with microchips have saved the lives of villagers in this drought-stricken part of the land. Young refugees from war-torn South Sudan are provided with seeds and farm implements to start all over again. Their hopes are high that the war will end and enable economic activities to take root. This will reduce their reliance on food imports. South Africa faces a double burden. Firstly, malnutrition and hunger, and secondly, obesity with associated non-communicable diseases. This comes as a result of poverty, inequality, urbanization, and the industrialization of the food system. Once in a similar situation, Brazil has since established food banks and promoted community cohesion, whereby healthy meals has been provided to residents for the past 20 years. Africa is investing in sustainable food production, and this despite of climate challenges. They are beating the odds by growing crops capable of withstanding harsh weather, by improving irrigation, by means of better pest control, and by finding access to new markets. Instead of broad-based synthetic chemicals, a Uganda entrepreneur is now selling rabbit urine to coffee, avocado, and banana farmers. It is effective as either insecticide or fertilizer depending on the dilution, and it is beneficial to the environment as a whole. Winston Churchill has called Uganda the Pearl of Africa. The UN Food and Agricultural Organization claims that Uganda has the potential to feed 200 million people. But this phenomenal ability would not have been possible without their strong research systems, providing seeds and technology to farmers. Marking World Oceans Day on June 8, the evidence has never been more compelling that many fish stocks are rapidly being depleted. With more than 40 million people worldwide earning a living through fishing, it has become crucial to revisit the use of government subsidies for big fisheries, as many engage in illegal, unreported, or unregulated, as well as overfishing practices. Since the 1950s, catches from the high seas has increased by 400%. Although some initial progress has been made in 2018 to conserve the deep seas, it is now crucial to urgently act on established fishing regulations, so our children do not inherit an impoverished planet. The green turtles of Lamu, Kenya, are on the brink of extinction due to the belief that turtle soup cures infertility. To turn this destructive tide, rangers are now sent from villages to village to educate people from the community. Reaffirming its commitment to the Convention on Biological Diversity, South Africa has increased its marine protected area from 0.4% to 5.4%, providing protection to 90% of its seawater habitat types. The Debt for Nature Swap program has protected over 67 million acres of forest in 14 countries across the world since 1998. Africa, however, has not benefited much. But a new similar agreement, which will include not only the protection of key forests, but also coral reefs, has been reactivated. To get the full stories behind these events, visit our website, econatics.co.za.